In this video, we're going to talk about the most important subject in web video creation, and that is video display resolution. Using an improper display size or aspect ratio is the most common mistake you'll see in web videos. Everybody gets this wrong. Okay, not everybody, but a lot of people do. Even people with very popular products, smart people, people making a lot of money. I see the same mistakes again and again and again. So if you can understand just the next 10 minutes in this course, you'll be light years ahead of the vast majority of people making videos on the internet. So here's what typically happens. You'll visit someone's website or you'll check out someone's video on YouTube, and you'll immediately find something like this. So what's wrong with this video? Okay, so aside from the horrible audio, the first thing you should notice are these huge black bars that appear on the left and right of the video. So why are these black bars here? Well, the black bars are there because you cannot fit a square into a rectangle. This person recorded his video with a 4:3 aspect ratio. So what does that mean? That's just the ratio of the video's width to the video's height. That means for every 4 pixels that appeared horizontally, there are 3 pixels appearing vertically. But the problem is YouTube doesn't use a 4:3 aspect ratio. YouTube uses a 16:9 aspect ratio, meaning that on YouTube, for every 16 pixels that appear horizontally, there are 9 pixels that appear vertically. So again, notice you cannot fit a square into a rectangle. The YouTube player is rectangular shaped, and this person's video is more like a square. So what does YouTube do when someone uploads a video that's the wrong size? They do the only thing you can do. They simply center the video in the middle of the screen, and then they draw some ugly black bars on the left and the right of the video. So you've probably noticed these black bars before as you've surfed around YouTube or on people's websites. And the tragedy to realize here is this is a very, very simple problem to avoid if you know what you're doing. And so this is how we fix it. For now on, when you record almost anything that is going to be used for web content, especially YouTube content, you want to make sure that you're recording at an aspect ratio of 16:9, meaning you want to make sure that you've set your screen recorder software or your video camera or whatever to a recording size that is compatible with an aspect ratio of 16:9. And so which recording sizes are compatible by 16:9? Well, here's a list. This is a simplified list of the possible sizes you're allowed to record with. All of these sizes will fit into YouTube's default 16:9 video player because each size here is just a bigger and bigger multiple of the number 16 and the number 9. So this list should remain forever tacked to your office wall. I have one on my office wall right now. I'm looking right at it. It's very important to be familiar with these sizes if you're ever going to get good at web video creation. Because if you don't record your video at one of these sizes, then you're going to get these black bars on your video, and that's not good. Okay, now let's talk about another interesting problem with this original sample video. Now, one thing you should also notice is how small the text is in the video. So this is where things get interesting. So what actually happens when you upload a video to YouTube is basically as soon as YouTube gets the file, they make 5 different sizes available. Now, if you click on the little gear in the corner of a YouTube video, you can actually see the 5 sizes, so long as the original video size was big enough. If the user's video is not big enough when he uploads it, then YouTube will just make as many versions as they can. For example, if the user's video is smaller than 1920 by 1080, then they're not going to make that version. They'll just leave that one out. Okay, so as we talked about before, 640 by 360 is the default YouTube player size, and that's a pretty small window to work with, but YouTube keeps it small because videos are very big files, and YouTube is of the top 3 most visited websites in the world, right up there with Google and Facebook. So they have a lot of data that they have to deliver per second. Also, many of their users are using lower bandwidth internet connections. And if YouTube increased the size of their video player, then they would increase the amount of time that their users would have to wait for the video to queue up. And for every second your users have to wait, you'll lose X number of users. So if you're producing a video to be played on YouTube, take note that the vast majority of your viewers will watch your video via this default 640 by 360 player size. So in any case, the point being, you don't have many pixels to work with by default on YouTube. Now, as you might be aware, there is actually a second view setting on YouTube's player. When you click the expand button at the bottom right of the video, your player size will jump up in size to A54 by 480. Now, very rarely will the majority of viewers take the trouble to actually manually change their player size, as well as change the quality setting to actually view your video at a bigger size at 480p here. If you're making software tutorials, some people might, but most won't. So that's something you always want to keep in mind. People's interest on the internet is very fickle. Okay, so the question you might ask yourself now is, why does YouTube create 5 different video sizes but only has the ability to properly display 2 sizes? Okay, so the quick answer is there is yet a third button on the YouTube player, the full screen button. And when you click this button, then the player will expand to the size of your PC monitor. Obviously, like I mentioned before, people very rarely surf on YouTube at this full resolution mode. It's time consuming, even with a fast internet connection. Videos at this size will load very slowly, but most of the bigger flat screen monitors can handle a 1080p setting. And if you look at some of the high definition, high quality videos on YouTube, then you can see that they do look pretty amazing at the larger setting. You might check out this video here on surfing put out by the BBC. If you were to head over to YouTube and watch this video at full screen on a big desktop monitor, then you'd see it does look pretty good in YouTube's high definition setting. Okay, but I've created this video course primarily for internet marketers and website owners, not cinematographers or filmmakers. Hence, generally, for our purposes here, we only really care about 3 video settings. So let's review. We don't care about 240p videos because this setting is just too small, and 240p videos are simply not of a high enough quality to warrant their use in this day and age. So basically, we can just completely ignore 240p. We do care about 360p videos. 360p is YouTube's default player size. And we have to remember that the vast majority of YouTube viewers will come to know us via this size. So if your goal is to lure YouTube viewers, then you should take note of this size. This is how 99% of YouTube users will initially view your content. So it's important to get it right, or at least to make it look acceptable at this size. 480p is also able to be displayed on YouTube, although most YouTube users will very rarely use this setting. However, when we go to embed YouTube videos on our own website, we want to seriously consider using this setting because it's a higher quality setting and it works great for some applications. If you look over at the homepage of one of my other software websites over at keywordorganizer.org, you can see that all of the videos on this page are displaying 480p. So this setting works great for on-site demo videos. 720p is also a size that we want to keep in mind because even though YouTube won't show 720p videos at their full size in normal screen mode, you may still find yourself recording at 720p because this is a very common setting available in most PC monitors and digital cameras. So when you're actually recording your screen, it's often easiest to simply set your video card to this 1280 by 720 size, and then you know you're using a YouTube compliant 16:9 aspect ratio and you'll be okay. Now 1080p is mostly for high resolution video, and very few people on the planet will have the patience to wait for the download of a 1080p video file just to watch it on YouTube. This setting is mostly for high-end film production and maybe high-resolution screenshots, but for our purposes, the majority of website owners, the majority of people out there just making web marketing videos, you'll probably want to avoid this size as well. Because typically for video marketing content, people just aren't going to wait very long for your content to load. Even in a best-case scenario, they're only going to wait a couple seconds. Okay, so let's review. When we record web video content, most of the time we'll want to be recording at one of these 3 resolutions. 640 by 360, this is known as 360p. A54 by 480, this is known as 480p. And 1280 by 720, this is 720p. Now let's talk about how you'd actually go about recording your screen. So ultimately, you're going to need some sort of screen recording software, of course. Now, you may have recorded video from your screen before, and you probably know there are hundreds of screen recording apps out there. I've tried many of them myself, and they all have their pros and cons, but here's a breakdown of what I think are your top 3 choices. Okay, first, I love Camtasia. We'll be talking about Camtasia a lot in this course. The Camtasia recorder is, in my opinion, the best one out there, but unfortunately, it's not free. You have to pay for it. My second favorite recorder is the Freescreen Video Capture, and it is totally free. Now, it does only work on Microsoft Windows. It won't run on a Mac, but of all the free recorders out there, I like this one the best. My third favorite is Screencast-O-Matic. Now, this one is also free, and it does run on a Mac. Now, the downside is the features are a bit limited compared to the other recorders, but you do pretty much have everything you need to get started. Okay, so which apps do you probably not want to use? Jing by TechSmith is a very popular app, but I'm not a big fan of Jing. It's great if you need to just get a quick informational video posted online, but the big problem is it's tricky to get Jing to actually save in a format that we can work with in our video editor. I also personally really don't like their user interface. Now, Screener.com I have used a bit in the past, and they do have a very elegant user interface when it works, but I've had some trouble getting it to work on my own PC lately. I'm not really sure why, and in any case, I still do prefer Screencast-O-Matic if you're looking for a free version. And Cam Studio is an open source app, and so it is free, and they look like they're still working on it, but as of right now, I wasn't too impressed with it. I think your first 3 options here are better. But no matter which screen recording app you use, the most important thing to take away from this course is you have to remember to type in the correct values when you're recording. Almost all of these screen recorders will have the same thing. They'll have 2 little boxes where you type in the width and the height of the area you're about to record. So this is the part that everyone gets wrong. Before you press the record button, you have to make sure that you've typed in one of the values from our list of 16:9 aspect ratios. So long as you're recording at one of these dimensions, then you can at least rest assured that you're making videos at a YouTube compliant size.